In Lifespan Integrative Clinic, we focus primarily on complex chronic illnesses. So it ranges anywhere from seeing patients that have, chronic gut issues to Lyme, mold toxicities. And then I primarily see patients that have stage 4 or untreatable cancers. Most of my patients are. And so we see several cancer patients within our clinic. So Alden was a individual who was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma, very extensive diagnosis that, wasn't given much time and many options. There really wasn't any options and was being considered a terminal illness. And he worked with Dr. Luba using the Monocor and some other therapies, I believe, in terms of enzymes and so forth that accompanied it to address a untreatable, quote unquote, diagnosis, and came out cancer free.
To me, it started with a conversation, a good friend of mine, and he told me about Alden and his amazing story in regards to a tumor, a cancer that was inoperable, incurable, according to the medical system. I have patients flying in from a little bit all over the world using the tools that we have, and we had a number of different frequency medicine. But to me, to kind of bring in this AI component to it was very, very attractive, where we can then identify and then treat, where the imbalances were at the same time.
I'm very grateful to be here today because I was only given 5 weeks to live. As we were exploring alternatives, we heard from a friend of ours who had a machine called a Monicor. This is a simple device. It's not very large, and it sends vibrations into the cells and allows the immune system to be corrected and take over and do the healing process, because the body has the ability to do that, to heal.
The Monicor is a machine that you run microcurrents through. You replace it on your wrist, the microcurrents, and there is an AI involved, and you run a person's system. So it tells you what each system is doing, whether your organs are working or not working, and whether your nervous system is working, how your brain is working. It looks at both sides of the body, right and left, and each part of an organ. So essentially it runs each organ twice, as well as skeletal, muscular system, nervous system, endocrine system. It looks for weaknesses, I would say. It looks at the meridians, like in Chinese medicine, and the meridians, each meridian is connected to an organ, and meridians dissect the body into different parts so that it runs the current through there and can detect whether there is a blockage or a difference in the current.
First found out about the Monocor through the supervising physician I work with and hearing testimonies in regards to cancer care. I work a lot with stage 4 cancer diagnoses, and at that time I was actually seeing a patient that had stage 4 melanoma, which aligned with Alden's protocol or Alden's diagnosis. And so it got me very interested. Unfortunately, it was too late for the patient to be able to start this, but it was something that I was wanting to start to learn more about.
With Monicor, it becomes kind of a beautiful additional level of care. So when you have, for me as a practice, you have all these pieces of the puzzle, and you always search for which piece are you missing next.
So we don't really treat specific tumors or anything. Monicor is not designed to treat tumors or even cancer. It's designed to improve not just the immune system, but every organ, every system differently for each person is different program. So Monicor is the only device in the world which will decide on itself using very complex mathematical calculations which frequency that particular person needs. And usually it's a set of hundreds of frequencies. Like what frequencies, which frequencies the person needs today or tomorrow to be at the best. So if the person has enough energy resources left in him, it will pull him through. And unless it's a major structural damage of something.
We use it for upgrading or for balancing yourself or my clients or patients. So some people are using it as a spa technique and they love that because they feel refreshed afterwards. Then I have some more serious problems that some of the clients or patients have. And I see some of them weekly, some of them monthly, depending on how often they can return. So I use it in a variety of ways.
We have a huge amount of different tools here, when it comes to frequency. I mean, we do sun bowl therapy. We do something called theta bed, where we use vestibular motion, binaural beats, and then also PMF. We use Rife technology. We use other technology called AO scan. We do advanced heart rate variability machines. We do light therapies. We do even intravenous light therapy, where we irradiate the blood as it's passing by. So we use a lot of these different frequency types of tools. So with Monicor, it becomes kind of a beautiful additional level of care. So when you have, for me as a practice, you have all these pieces of the puzzle, and you always search for which piece are you missing next. And then Monicor was that next technology that fit that piece, where I can then, and you can run this on any kind of disease, that the person is dealing with, because all you're doing is that you are correcting the imbalances in the body, and you're identifying where they're at, and you're feeding back using artificial intelligence, which is kind of that next level of technology that we are now being exposed to, and be able to bring that in then for beneficial measures, beneficial therapies becomes really, really powerful to me. And so with that, I feel, because a lot of patients, they have a hard time taking, they may be reactive to take a supplement, or they do this kind of therapy, and they may deal with histamines, or they may be kind of more inflammation from doing this and that, and they may be sensitive. And here you are then using a therapy where that concern is now removed as a factor. And you can then just support the body and just bring it, beautifully and intelligently, into homeostasis and into balance, using just the frequencies that are needed to calm the system down, and then fuel it with the energy that it needs. That is why I felt that Monicor had such a great fit, along with all the other therapies that I'm doing.
Dr. Rawson and I purchased a Monocor for the clinic about 6 or 7 months ago, and we've been learning about it and recently started to implement it into our practice as of the past 3 months. So I've used the Monocor on patients with and without cancer. I have a patient that has a form of leukemia, and he has been using it and has noticed great results in terms of his sleep pattern, his mood. We are still kind of waiting on retesting labs. It's a little early for that, but he's been doing it for about 3 weeks now and swears by it, and has been encouraging a lot of other people in our clinic to do it because of how he feels during and then after. And even his wife has noticed a significant change in his mental, emotional health, and physical health too, because increase in energy and stamina.
I didn't notice anything until about 8 weeks later, and then it seemed that the swelling was going down of these tumors. And at 10 weeks, I noticed while shaving that there wasn't anything there at all. I couldn't feel anything in my parotid glands. And there had been 5 tumors there, pretty prominent on this side. And so we went to see the doctor at the University of California, San Diego, and he was shocked. He had told me there was nothing I could do, and now there's no indication of anything there. And so we went to see the top research oncologist at UCSD. And she said, Alden, everybody is talking about you. And I said, why? She said, because we have no tools at all to correct what you seem to have corrected in just a few weeks. And what have you done? And so we spent time together talking. And at one point in the conversation, I said, but why are you so open and curious about this whole thing? And she said, frankly, I feel like I'm sitting in the presence of the future of medicine.
I am very satisfied with our purchase. It allows me to help others. It allows me to take care of the family. It allows me to try it out, see what it's doing. I mean, I'm obviously very excited to help people use it for serious ailments. The Monocor runs frequencies through the body. So you hook up your hands on each wrist, and it runs vibrations through your body, very small amounts of electricity, so that some people feel it, some people do not. So everything in the world has a frequency. It vibrates at a certain level. And there's a doctor, David Hawkins, who came up with a map of consciousness of 0 to 1,000. And every emotion and organism has a frequency. Self-love is, for instance, at 500 hertz. 1,000 is universal love or God love, and 0 is death. And so if you look at the Monicor, it runs a frequency to check each area of the body, whether it is the skeletal, muscular, or the nerves, or the brain, or and it runs it as if the body is from the point of view of Chinese medicine. So if the heart is not running at function, it will run the correct frequency that is optimal for the heart.
Start calibrating each organ, and it will tell you on the screen what priority, in what order it's calibrating each organ, including the brain, because the immune system is controlled by the brain. It's sending very small frequencies, like maybe 0.1 or 2 hertz, or 2 points and 5 numbers after that, tens of thousands precision, to the body through specific points that identify for you to get into your system, to make sure your system will work in the correct range. It's called endogenous frequency. It's not a vibration necessarily. It's a frequency, that healing frequency that your body needs in order to be restored.
When explaining the Monocor, I really just explain in terms of the AI system. Is the AI system is able to read frequencies that is getting pushed out from the body. So for example, let's say your frequency is supposed to look like this, a pretty curve coming back. If there is an abnormal frequency there. So say the frequency looks more like a straight line or has abnormalities to the said frequency, the AI will pick that up and it will send a frequency to correct it so that it looks the way it should. That's the best way I can explain it for patients so that they understand, but everything carries a frequency. If you hold an apple, that carries a frequency. Our liver carries a frequency. Everything in the world has a frequency. And so this machine is just able to test the frequencies of different areas of the body and then sending a frequency to correct if there's abnormalities or things that shouldn't be acting in a certain way, to help support the body in correcting the system. The machine itself is not healing or is not curing anything. It's setting the body up for success because, for example, if your immune system's frequency is really low and it's having a hard time functioning, what this does is just feeding a healthy frequency to increase regulation to the body. So it now has the ability or the frequency to have a fighting chance in helping it heal. And after you're healing the frequency within the body, then the body has the ability to heal itself.
What is incredible when you are then turning on the Monicor and you do this initial scan on an individual. So you're then scanning these 750 points, in the body, and all these points are then associated with different organ structures, different meridian lines, and you can then you can then see the level of energy in that individual. So you get then after that scan, you get to see then which organs are hyperfunctioning, which organs are hypofunctioning. So you get to see the disparity, and you can see which organ systems that really, really needs help, or you can see the ones that are doing pretty good. And it is amazing. It's been very, very consistent with our understanding of the patient and with what they're dealing with. So it's been really fascinating to see how the things that we are working on and that are challenges in the system, in the person, how they consistently show up as needed, strong attention and needing assistance. And so that becomes then that initial scan, and you also will see then the different meridians. You have like the liver meridian or the stomach meridian or spleen or triple heater, and all these different meridians. And you can also in that see if there's a huge amount of congestion, energy congestion within that meridian, or if it's very hypofunctioning, very weak. So you get it's like a acupuncture diagnosis where you can then see exactly where you need to support, and you can then take that even a step further if you'd like, where you can then support these areas and with different herbs, with different diets, different foods, to really support. If your heart meridian is showing that it's very weak, then you can just add supplements and things for that. But over and above that, what you're doing is that after that scan, it then corrects it and then feeds back the energy that's needed after it identified, let's say the stomach is weak. It then feeds back the energy that's needed for the stomach, using then the AI intelligence to then balance the discord within that system. So that's kind of that first. And to me, that is the most valuable aspect of Monicor, is to be able to do that scan and then to be able to treat those weak areas, those weak energy systems, through specific frequencies.
I usually run the AI first because it seems to know what to look for. If a machine can do that, it finds what needs to be picked up. Then we run different protocols. There's very specific ones for lungs, for heart, for everything you could think of. So you go through a scroll of menu and pick out whatever the client wants to work on. It might be fungus, it might be kidneys, they might have reports from labs, it could be urinary system. So that's how we use it. Then there's a whole set of protocols that if there is something wrong with a specific organ, then we would run different parasite programs or different fungus programs, different bacterial programs, and make sure those are all completed before we run a program that is just for inflammation. For instance, if I get a virus, I often get it in my spinal cord or my neck. I just ache all over. And I can reduce the time to a day or two, whereas most people would have it for 3 to 10 days.
Wow.
So it makes a big difference.
One example, it was a boy came from Ukraine last year, and he was suffering from a severe abdominal problem that nobody could pinpoint what was wrong. It was no disease name, but he has a bad digestion. It's a pain. He was in abdominal pain literally every day. He was existing on medication all the time. And it was very difficult to treat somebody like that without even knowing what's wrong. So I just put Monicor at work, and that's it. And his symptoms start disappearing very quickly, literally like overnight. And now he could eat most of the food. He got certain allergy to very specific food, but overall he eats every time any food, and he has no problem with his abdominal inflammation. His stomach doesn't hurt. He stops throwing up. He started really dramatically improving. His stomach wasn't painful. It didn't hurt, and he didn't feel sick. So it really happened very quickly. And overall, I treated him maybe 6 times.
Monicor sends these vibrations into your body, that the frequencies that help to align each organ. And as long as these frequencies are sent to the organs that need the healing, so they're vibrating at the proper frequency, then it's easier for the body to heal it.
It just makes you feel better after you've used it. So it gets rid of the symptoms. It reduces the time that you have the symptoms. Even for colds, you just won't have it as long. Or for allergies, it will get rid of headaches. It will get rid of stuffiness. So it just brings the body up to its optimal level. I have a patient that does have kidney disease. And we have been working with her for several months, and her bladder will also go out, but I think the original cause is probably the kidney. So we work on the kidney, we work on the bladder, and it has literally stopped her incontinence. So it gets her bladder system back up to par. So then she doesn't have problems for several weeks. And then we need to go see her again. She's a personal friend, so we see her. Most of my clients come in to see me.
People always think that, well, I'm dealing with something serious, like a serious degenerative disease, I mentioned cancer. The body is an amazing piece of machinery. There's no other doctor that is better than your own doctor, your own body, the innate intelligence that exists within your body. So by you enhancing its ability to really doctor up, so to say, and really turning on all the different processes that's needed to heal, you are then going to do so much better. So don't lose hope when you think that there's no hope. Don't think that this is bigger than you. Your body has that ability to heal. And it's important to understand that, yes, Monicor, we're not talking about that it treats diseases or cures diseases or diagnoses any diseases. It does none of that. And the beauty of that is that we are here to promote health. We're promoting the the ability for you to be able to correct what is dysfunctional so that you can heal and become the optimum you. So as I mentioned, people, they come from a little bit all over the place to receive the therapies we have. And Monicor is one of the exciting new technologies that we have here. It just enhances the body's ability to heal. And we need that more now than ever.
And how this applies to cancer patients is every person, they didn't get cancer overnight. They didn't cancer cells just start to form and then boom, one day they have cancer. There's a story that has led them to get to where they are. Many times with patients that have cancer, we look at multiple different factors: their environmental health, their physical health, their emotional mental health, their sleep patterns. We also look at their toxic overload. And really come to determinant of what is our biggest driver of this. So if we look at cancer as a metabolic disease, you would see that the mitochondria is damaged, which is our powerhouse of our cell, really getting our cells to drive. And what we see in research is that cancer cells' mitochondria is really struggling. Some of them aren't functioning very well, primarily actually not using the mitochondria at all. And so we have to see what is causing so much damage to these cells that's causing them to rapidly replicate without answering to our body systems to make it stop. And so when we start seeing all these different toxins, emotional, mental health, and so forth playing a role, we start to address those, and then simultaneously supporting the body's immune function and so forth to help it start to kill off the cancer cells for us. So once again, supporting the body so it can do it for itself.
We've seen people who are fixing abdominal inflammation and suddenly their tinnitus went away. Or they just do regular balancing of the body, like AI balancing in the body, and like knee pain will go away or something else, so they stop coughing. So there's many things. So we don't aim for the disease or name of the disease. It's just a generic improvement, like a biggest and the finest tune-up of the body. The body is the strongest mechanism. It has the strongest mechanism to kill cancer cells, to kill infection, to get rid of even heavy metals once it's working correctly.
As I have a client who I see monthly, and they come in and use the Monicor for a spa treatment where they relax, but they've gone through, I've been seeing this client for several years, and she has gone through deaths in her family that have affected her significantly. And after the Monicor use, she feels like she can go back and face life again. She isn't so overwhelmed. She significantly feels better afterwards. So yes, Monicor can help with great different emotions and different psychological issues. There is a frequency we use for happiness, and my husband likes to use this frequency. I use it on him a lot as he is under quite a bit of pressure with his position, and so it's just for relaxation. It lasts about 6 to 10 minutes, and I often use it at the end of a session so that it leaves you feeling a little uplifted.
The Monicor USA hooks up to a dedicated computer. You only use the computer for the Monicor. The Monicor comes with a computer and everything that you need to hook yourself up to this machine. And it's FDA registered, and it's made in the United States of America. We're happy to talk about it because obviously Alden's doing great. We're happy. We're very grateful. Just reach us through MonicorUSA.com. Put our names in, then Monicor customer service will actually send those messages on to us.